Brislington Enterprise College in Bristol is a school in trouble. Head teacher, John Matthews, frankly explores his concerns.
Standards within this college have historically been relatively low. If you look back over the last 6 to 7 years, our standards at the age of 16 have varied, but they've never really gone to the national average. Because we are within an authority that over the last 3 years has had very bad media over its overall results, we are part of a community that doesn't have trust and confidence in us as an organisation. And over a period of 5 years, the numbers of students opting to leave the city, and particularly leave Brislington catchment area and move into other areas, has been quite significant. Too many young people are leaving this college on too many occasions without the necessary level of qualification. So what we need to do is step change. One of the things that comes through at the moment is that you are too large to cater for the needs of my child.
Built in the 1950s, Brislington's buildings are now past their sell-by date.
As you can see, if you look behind you there, the paintwork and plaster is all falling down due to all the rain and heat and moisture. And if you look to the very back, you'll see a painting which was painted in the 70s. So that should be redone because it's kind of out of fashion now. So that's why this place gets vandalised so much, because of all the students come through here, and because it doesn't look very pleasant when they come through here, they just make it even more unpleasant for the other students who keep doing it over and over again until it gets to a state of disrepair.
Our students themselves, how can they feel proud in their environment when they're surrounded by damp walls, by broken concrete, by masonry falling off the building itself? They can't. So it is just, it's not fit for purpose.
But in 2008, the old building will be razed to the ground and replaced by a state-of-the-art college, specifically designed to work as 7 small schools in one school.
We have a unique opportunity in the fact that the college is currently being rebuilt physically. We're part of the Bristol BSF Pathfinder project, and so we have a £30 million project.
The school didn't want to rebuild the bog standard comprehensive, so their new build will have fundamental differences.
Through a lot of research that's taken place with members of the leadership team, we have determined that we're going to build to incorporate what will be 7 small learning communities.
It gave us the opportunity to transform the education for our students and to give them better opportunities in life. We'd heard and read a lot about small learning communities. We had, from that point onwards, opportunities to visit good practice. So I was very fortunate to go out to Boston and New York and actually visit the schools out there.
That was beautiful last night.
Thank you.
I was so touched. I said, oh my goodness, it's Franklin.
And instead of having huge academies, 2,000 students or so, they'd broken it down into small schools, 300, 400 students in a school, and our impression of what we saw was that everybody knew everybody else. We want our students to feel at home, known, targeted in their education process. So it was that experience that we brought back in huge quantities.
Behind secure gates, metres away from the students' existing classrooms, is the construction work. The design of the building incorporates house blocks and communal areas and is an attempt to create a building fit for a human-scale school. Barry Scarman is the construction site manager.
At the moment we're in the street. As you can see how wide it is in this area. The roof is obviously a normal roof with roof lights along the edge, and as you can see also in between each house block it's all fully glazed, and this is where the coloured glass will be. It should be a very good atmosphere through this street area. So this is house block 2. It's on the ground floor is a science area, and on the top floor is all general classrooms. There's a big massive atrium in the middle where there's a socialised area, and all the house blocks are designed the same way. Population of each house block is about 290 to 300. What they do is obviously they stay mostly in their areas of the houses.
We wanted individual communities, so they designed it for those individual communities. Couldn't put everything into each house, otherwise it would have been too costly. The students staying there for about 60% of the time For the other 40% of the time, they'll move out into specialist areas.
The space we're in at the moment is an area which is one of the bridges. The bridges are classed as staff bases, so they can actually see each way down each of the streets, so they can actually look where the kids are and make sure they're not messing about. And obviously behind us is one of the main house blocks. This house block is for years 9, 10 and 11.
The house blocks within this will make sure that our students go into a smaller unit. One of the biggest concerns of our parents has been, how do you cater for my John or Mary or Sally? We can actually turn around and say they're not going to be part of 1,500 students, they're going to be part of a community numbering 300 at the most, and that they will have individual staff, teachers, that will see them for a greater proportion of the time that they're in this building.
But a beautiful new building isn't enough to transform Brislington's educational mission. Classes are being combined and groups of teachers will now work together in teams. Subjects will be delivered through a project-based approach until the end of Key Stage 3. This class is Project and replaces the traditional humanities lessons.
Today we are going to be looking at Scotland as we travel throughout Great Britain. So if you put your title Scotland, which lots of you are doing already, well done.
Time is ticking and the whole school is having to pick up the pace to prepare for the challenges of the new school. Groups from the school staff are meeting frequently to discuss new teaching techniques, and these sessions are helping them to come to terms with the enormous changes the school is going through.
A class gets 16 hours a fortnight and then it's divided between 2 teachers. So Dave and I actually share one group.
Who are also my tutor group. So the tutor is one of the project teachers, and then Sarah, partner teacher.
Secondary,
Yeah.
It draws together a lot of different aspects of where the college is going, really. A smaller group, really fun, relevant projects to the real world, if you like. What do you think?
I mean, I think the drive behind it is to move away from a sort of curriculum that's completely content saturated, and to move towards skills that are going to benefit the students holistically.
And also making it more personal to each individual student. We only see, well, it's us two that see them for 16 hours a week, so we have quite a lot of contact with those students and we get to know them a lot better.
And that's come about because you do see them for such a
because
large
you see them
period of
so
time.
Much, yeah.
Which football team are better, Man United or Liverpool? Carry on, I'll be amazed if you said Man United.
Liverpool.
Liverpool, obviously Liverpool.
It's a real challenge. It is a real challenge. If you look at the model of teacher education currently, it is predicated on subject specialism. You know, most people will do a degree, they will, or they will then go on to PGCE. And now you're saying to colleagues, well, actually, we do want you to have your subject specialism. We want you to be an excellent maths teacher. We want you to be an excellent English teacher. But we want you to work in a team that runs across those subjects.
Maybe there was that kind of, oh, why are we doing this? What benefit's that going to be to me as an English teacher? I mean, how is that going to affect my professional development if I spend, I don't know, say 40% of my timetable teaching project-based learning? Why is it important that a government makes sure everyone's got somewhere to live?
Because I'll be homeless.
Exactly, and then you've got loads of problems, haven't you? So housing's another one. It has empowered me rather than de-skilled me. I'm now finding that I'm bleeding project into my main-scale English teaching rather than bleeding my English teaching into my project.
To develop closer student-teacher relationships, Brislington is asking their teachers to not only teach their own subject, but work in teams to deliver the complete curriculum.
As a professional within this new college, how will you feel working alongside an English specialist, humanities specialist, whatever?
I think it can only add to the whole experience, really,
Why is that?
because we can
Takes
make
you out
our
of the comfort
subjects
zone,
more
doesn't it?
cross-curricular. First of all, personally, yeah, it will take me out of my comfort zone, and I will have to sort of, you know, teach other subjects, you know, and that's absolutely fine with me. And, you know, you have to work with somebody else who you haven't worked with before. I haven't got a problem with that. I'm quite excited about that.
Just more sources of inspiration. It's just going to broaden the learning base, really, isn't it? Because you're going to be in such close proximity with other specialisms. You know, you're going to be able to sort of spark off each other and get ideas and do more sort of group-based projects where it is all interrelated.
That's not to say I won't miss all the grumpy old men I work with over the other side in humanities at points, but, you know.
It's the role of these discussions to allow difficulties and misgivings to be aired openly.
being in a small learning community where you're separate from your technicians and all your resources, I think it's just going to be hard to say, right, I'm going to do this for a lesson, and it's taking your stuff to the technician, them having to wheel it down to you. And, you know, on a day-to-day basis it may work, but if we've got 4 technicians or 3 technicians, of them be running around with everyone's lessons.
It depends how well equipped each base unit is and whether they're all multifunctional, and you could teach a science lesson or an art lesson within them. I mean, obviously within art, some of the equipment we use is very specialist, you know, ceramics, kilns, screen printing facilities, and those would be really difficult to move from unit to unit. Or
it's a balance, isn't it, between being in one house or moving around. If students are in one house, they're in a home, they feel looked after. If they're having to move out of that for specialist areas, then obviously so be it, so that we can get the resources to them, but it means less within their own home area. So,
but you would be the, if you were attached to that house, you'd be moving with the students.
Correct.
It's okay.
Yes.
So you would still get
so
that continuity.
you would still have that continuity, yes, yeah.
The school will be ready in September 2008, so the staff have to prepare. And though it will be a relief to leave the old school buildings, there'll be masses of work in the coming months.
Okay, folks, over the next 12 months then, we've got quite a challenge to face. What impact will it have on you?
the key aspect of this is building relationships, isn't it, both with children, but also it'll enable you to build relationships with the parents and personalise it all far more, which will enable you to, you know, keep much closer tags on how the child is developing.
And it's also going to mean that you get fewer of the sort of the lost children, so to speak, that can kind of go either by choice or by their personal choice, they can opt out, or they just slip under the radar and then they just exist in school rather than feeling they've got an actual active involvement in it.
But with a large school like this and on this site, as Dave mentioned, it can become disparate and maybe they don't feel that sense of pride, but they will when they have their own smaller school, their own environment. They know everybody in it, 300 per school.
I think we've got to start thinking of it as being their home.
Yes.
Their home base, the security that affords. Indeed, we'll probably be offering them more of a home type situation than they get at home.
Somewhere to hang your coat in the morning.
Stability and consistency is just essential in learning, isn't it, really? So in order for children to be able to achieve, they need to feel secure and confident and comfortable and need to know exactly where they stand. And the more you can provide the environment, surely the more likely they are to achieve.
Why is the school putting in all this hard work?
As a college, what we have to be, every individual, every adult that works here has to be a reservoir of hope for each of these young people. And that journey in itself is quite scary. But if we don't do it, then what are we actually saying education's about? It seems to me that if we don't do it, we're saying what we have is good enough, what we're delivering to young people is good enough, and it's okay for more than 50% of students in this college to leave without achieving national benchmark standards of 5A star to C grades. And that's not acceptable to us.